Hey y'all, Shahazai and Abu. What's cracking? Kraken. I'm bringing Kraken back. Where did Kraken go? Kraken worked. I'm bringing Kraken back. Okay, what's cracking, y'all? It's Shahazai and Abu, and I am back with more writing tips. Let's see. Um, and by the way, when I sit down for writing tips, I'm always looking into the sky because I I don't have them until I turn the camera on. So, writing tips for today. Today, is a suggestion, writing exercise. Yeah, writing exercise. Um Dive into form poetry. Um it's a lot of different kinds of form poetry. You can actually Google um, types of poems, and a whole bunch of stuff will come up. If you just want a suggestion, try writing a sonnet today. Go to YouTube, go to Google, and they will tell you all the write a sonnet. That's just, you might like it. Um, what's another one? Another tip is write a poem, and then on your second draft, go deeper. That's a good one. Go deeper. So notice places in your poem where you said words like beautiful. Show me beautiful. Wherever you said soft, show me soft. Soft does not have to be something that you touch. Soft could be a color. And I think soft, I think peach, I think pink. I think blue. I think so. Show me soft. Soft could be a memory. Um, go back in that poem and places where you use the word thing. Name that thing. Everything has a name. Call it its name. Um, let's see. What's another writing tip? Don't be afraid to look bad in your poems or stories. You're going to at some point. So, not bad, but yeah, bad too. But don't be afraid of being vulnerable. Um, some people, it's a really, really, really hard thing to do. Um, Looking vulnerable on the page, on the stage, is just terrifying for a lot of people, and I get it. Um, but take a step in putting yourself out there and be vulnerable, and you'll be okay. Because as your audience, there are areas of our lives where we are vulnerable too. And now, when I say vulnerable, um, if there is something that you are currently dealing with and you are not ready to go on stage with that, that's a different thing. If you don't feel like you can say the poem about your parent passing because it just happened, or it's too close to you, that's not what I'm saying. um uh I'm saying vulnerable, like sometimes we don't like to look weak. We don't like to expose sensitive areas, our sensitive sides. But even in the case of, someone passing, um, you can still write that vulnerable piece. And it will come in layers, like grief is in layers. Um, Some people do that. I'm pausing because I don't want to use the word naturally. The example that I'm going to give, and trigger warning here. So if you don't want to hear anything sensitive, just scroll, go look at bunny rabbits. But I am going to say something sensitive here because it's coming up. Uh, people who have been people who have had their private parts touched, especially when they were younger, have a different filter than other people. I'm one of them. We don't have the same filter as everybody else. And so it seems we tend to give very sensitive information, and the audience is like, whoa, whoa, did she say? Because we don't see it the same. Like, in our minds, or I'm going to make it very personal, in my mind, I could so I could be forced to do this very adult and sexual thing at 4, but not talk about the repossession. I I mean, we so that's how we kind of weigh it. And so, and I can spot that person out in at every open mic. Every one, and I'm never wrong. I have been going to open mic since 1991. 1991. 1991. And I see us all the time. And we just don't have the same filter. Like, because that is how we weigh it, like the example that I gave. So it's like, I can talk about this, but like this really, really, really heavy thing that I went through as a child, but I'm embarrassed to talk about the eviction. Like, please, we just see it different. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but we don't have the same kind of embarrassment. But even if you don't want to stand on stage and tell these poems, write them, start writing them. And I don't mean write your assault poems. I mean, stretch yourself and allow yourself to look not as strong as you want to always appear. How about that? I tend to tell a lot of stories about myself where I look bad. I do. Because I also tell a lot of stories where I look good. I look good. And I tell those stories. And every human being is ugly somewhere. Stories that I might not mention, where I might not look shining, also include someone else, and I'm not trying to put them out. Yeah, I mean, I think we all, as writers, have a list of what I call untouchables. On some people's list, it might be, oh, I'll never talk about, I don't know, and I mean publicly here, not just writing, or like, even if the writing is public, I mean being public. I'll never be, public about, and I don't know what's on your list. Like, for me, my untouchables aren't necessarily things that include me. They usually are connected to my son. I talk about my son a lot, but they are never emotional stories. I mean, like that show him. I might tell a funny story. I mean, my son is hilarious, and so I might tell a funny story, or I might tell a story like he sent me a text saying, "I love you, Mom," and that touched me, or something like that. But I'm not going to share a story that made him cry, or I don't, you know what I mean? Not that he cry, he don't ever cry. But so my untouchables are connected to him. And funny, because to him and people he is connected to, right? My son has a father, bonus mom, and sister that I never mentioned. I know y'all thought that my son was conceived of this immaculate conception, but he actually has a father. I know you thought that. You thought that. But no, he has a father whom he loves, and a bonus mom and a sister and a whole, and I have been blogging since 2007 or 8, and you'll never find a baby daddy, which I don't really like that phrase, but you'll never find a baby daddy story from me. Mostly only because my son loves his father. And I'm not going to have him Google me and find me talking bad about his dad. Like, why would I'm not gonna do that. I'm never gonna do that. They will always be my untouchable. Yeah, and yeah, that's just what that is. And and while we are on that, as writers, here's a suggestion. Especially writers with public forums, always assume that your platform is bigger than the person you would say something against. Always assume that. And don't be a bully. Right? Don't be a bully. I don't know. I don't know my son's father's like platform or his. I don't know that, and but I would never. I can't imagine the beef that I would have. That I would take. That personal that I would take public. No. But that's just me. So these are tips. These are suggestions. This is how I get down. It ain't got to be how you get down. Do not comment, "Well, my baby daddy burned down a house." Two things. One, I am not a relationship coach. See no rings on these fingers. And two, I'm old and I don't care about you and your baby daddy. I don't care. Okay. I'm a writer, and I do one-on-one coaching. By the way, holler at me. Yeah. So just don't use your big and bad voice on. Just be careful about where you use your big and bad voice. Use your big and bad bully voice. On against the cop who you saw beating up the kid. Use your big and bad voice there. Use your big and bad voice. There's so many places, to use your big and bad voice that we don't always gotta bully our loved ones. But sometimes we gotta bully our loved ones, just because you are related to me does not have you on my untouchable. It does not. It does not. Let's just say that. It's funny. I don't know. I never really explored this. Something about opening a camera. I never explored it. Who else is on my untouchable? My sister. I never talk about my sister. I mean, I mentioned my sister, but I never talk about my sister. This video is a lot longer than I intended it to be. So that will conclude the writing tips for today. My name is Jahaz Ainabu, and I'm cracking. I'm bringing back cracking. Forget y'all, okay? Holler at your girl. Yes, I do one-on-one coaching. Peace.